locker, I call it, my vegan making machine, because this is a stand where folks can pick up the vegan starter kit. And this is a very busy intersection by the museum and the subway, so I get a lot of people who come and take them. It's very exciting. Hundreds every week pick these up. And these magazines have enough information to convince about 36% of the people who read it to go vegetarian. So it's thrilling. Every time you see someone walk away with one of these magazines, you think, there's a life changer or lifesaver. So it's my favorite project is to stock the veg starter kit stand.
And it's right in your neighborhood too.
It's right where I live, so it's handy. I don't have to go far. But it's very, very productive.
And you have your friend
This
here.
is Roxy.
This is Roxy.
Roxy, say hi!
Jannette Patterson, what your responsibilities are at PETA as a director.
Sure, absolutely. I've been with PETA 16 years, and my primary focus is fundraising. We call it friend-raising fundraising, but really it's all about sharing our message of what PETA's work is with our members, getting them to understand the needs for their support. We can't do this work without our members. PETA's supported all by individuals. We don't get, of course, government grants and that kind of funding. So it's kind people who want to make this a better world for animals that really give us the power to do what we do. So my focus is in that area, and meeting with our members and giving them the opportunity to help save lives. PETA.org is our site that just has all the information. The membership button is right at the top, of course. You can donate, become a member. The Vanguard Society Club, which is our higher level giving, is $500 or more in a year, and that is a very special group of folks who really make our work possible. We have an amazing team doing incredible work on the campaigns, but it's the funding that gives us the ability to really keep doing that work. From undercover investigations, to educating the kids about how to eat right, all of our good work is powered by that support.
You think of PETA as simply animal rights. It also expands out into the other connective avenues.
In all areas of animals and making it a better world for them. In our local Virginia and North Carolina, we're building dog houses, providing folks with information about how to care for their companion animals, free spay-neuter. We have spay-neuter trucks that go into these communities and do that. We really are a grassroots organization, meaning that we provide information to anybody who cares about animals on any level. We make it possible for you to do something with that and do more to make it a better world. When you call us or email us, you'll get the information. We'll provide you with the facts about how to become active. Our PETA 2 street team kids are fully engaged in doing missions to help animals. And it's an amazing way that we're reaching out and getting kids informed. And we didn't have that, 10 or 15 years ago with the internet, so now we do. It's a grassroots organization, and that we really make it possible for the individual to take power and do what they can do to make it a better world by their own personal choices, making compassionate choices from what you wear to what you eat, to what you buy. All of these things have power in helping animals.
The booklet that PETA puts out, it's full of information as to what people can do on their daily lives and what they can do to help.
So the vegan starter kit, we call it now, the vegan starter kit, is a great tool. It gives you all the reasons from health to environment to the animals and why you should make that choice. Okay? This is the DVD that we always carry and hand out. It's called Glass Walls, and it's narrated by Paul McCartney. And this is a very short video, but it shows very factually how animals are raised, how they're farmed, what happens to them before they become someone's dinner. So it's an eye-opener that just nets results. So we carry this everywhere we go. We just have an opportunity on the conversation. You're on the bus and someone asks you a question about, you don't even know where it's going to come from. You overhear someone talking about cholesterol and trying to reduce their cholesterol, and you say, well, here's an opportunity for you to learn that animal products have cholesterol, plant foods don't. So we just always use opportunities to expand the education.
How did you become vegan?
As a young girl, I became concerned for animals. I learned about the seal hunt in Canada when I was very young, and I wanted to do something about it. I learned about what was going on with animal organizations. I wrote to all the groups that existed, and just became an activist at a very early age. I actually became vegan, went from vegetarian. I was a teenager when I was vegetarian, went to vegan when someone told me there's a little piece of veal in every glass of milk. I grew up drinking milk, cheese, And I was an ethical vegetarian, but I hadn't made the connection to veganism.
Could you explain what we mean by ethical
An
vegetarian?
ethical vegetarian is, in my description, is someone who's choosing a kind diet for the other guy's benefit a little bit. So from my point of view, what I choose to eat is really about that I don't want to cause harm. A health vegetarian may be choosing it for their own health, for their own benefit, which is just another wonderful reason. Vegetarianism to me is all about having the animals not be harmed. So the leap to veganism came when I really thought more about what goes on with milk production and how we steal the milk that's made for baby, for the calves. We steal that milk. It isn't a benign, non-harming product that most of us are raised to believe it is. So it took me some time. I was a slow learner in getting to the place of being vegan, but it's an absolute connect the dots. You can't be an ethical vegetarian and still eat cheese and milk and eggs, these things that are products of such suffering. So 17 years vegan now, roughly. So yeah, we turned 50 this year, and
oh my goodness.
you know, my energy level's great. I don't miss it at all. You know, really, it's an interesting thing. Once you learn, you change your diet. It takes 21 days roughly to kind of change your palate, and you just learn about good foods. And there's so many good choices. You don't miss it.
What is your favorite breakfast?
I don't do a lot of cooking. I'm very simple. So I'll have toast, I'll have some granola, sometimes I'll make a smoothie, but I keep things very simple. And I'm actually always so busy doing my activism, I don't take a lot of time in the kitchen for myself. And you know, I live in New York City, and we are surrounded by lovely restaurants, so I spend a lot of time there. So
What do you eat when you go out with your friends, and how do you choose from a menu when there's not a specific dish on there that looks like vegan?
You know, the philosophy of food, I really kind of think of it this way. It came to my mind when someone asks me, what do you eat? I mean, someone who's not yet vegetarian, this is my optimistic view, they're not yet vegetarian, because I think once you learn about what goes on in the world of food, you'll move in this direction. But if someone's not yet vegetarian, they'll ask that question and they're really stumped, like, what do you eat? Because of the food focus that we're ingrained in this country is that if I ask you what you had for dinner, you'll say you had corn, you'll tell me you had chicken. I'll say, what did you have for dinner? And you'll say, I had chicken. And I'll say, but on your plate was corn and potatoes and chicken. But isn't it interesting you tell me you only had chicken? It's a food focus that we're raised in this culture to think of the animal product as the primary thing we're eating. And in fact, I'm eating, if you look at what I'm eating the other two items. I'm eating the corn and I'm eating the potatoes. So if you think of food differently and think about all of the varieties of foods you eat, even if you're not vegetarian, and you think of food in that way, it opens up everything. So it isn't just thinking that our food has to have the centerpiece be the flesh of an animal. We just simply take that old thinking away, erase that, you know, learn the new way, which is understanding that all foods have some degree of protein, you know, and they are not protein deficient. There's one of the scary myths that the meat sellers want you to believe is that protein only shows up in animal products, and that's absolutely not true. So, you know, to kind of let go of that marketing tool, which is what the meat folks have us going with, and think about food in a new way, there's no shortage of things we eat. You know, just have to think differently about approaching what's on your plate.
That is also promoted by doctors that don't study nutrition, by coaches in colleges and high school that tell their football players they've got to quote-unquote beef up, and they think they've got to do that actually with beef.
Well, you know, just this weekend, it was so exciting. I had a colleague from PETA who came up, Becky. She was up for the weekend for the swim in the Hudson. So there's a race that they have in the Hudson River, 6.2 miles these people swim in the Hudson. 340 swimmers. The only one who did the whole swim, the butterfly stroke, which is a very challenging stroke, was Becky, and she's vegan. So here's the vegan-powered girl swimming 6.2 miles in the Hudson doing the butterfly stroke the whole way. Only one out of 340. So, you know, the examples are endless. You know, we have the vegan athletes. We know we can get all the protein and all the strength we need from a plant-based diet without the cholesterol and the fat and all the harmful things that slow us down. So, you know, the food choices are out there. It's really, I think, primary is our tipping point is to get the doors opened up a bit for folks to kind of look at facts, like you say, that aren't led by, you know, the industries that have profits to gain in the meat and dairy, and even in the medical institutions. You're selling surgeries and you're selling pills instead of selling prevention. John Robbins said had a great analogy in his book Food Revolution about diet and health. And in this country, what we have now is a cliff, and when you fall off that cliff with cancer, heart disease, or strokes, at the bottom of the cliff, you'll have the ambulance, which is now a Ferrari. You'll triple bypass like this, get your surgeries done, get your bypass done. But all you need is a fence at the top of the cliff so you don't fall. And that fence would be eating right, eating, a plant-based diet so you don't have the need. So it's an interesting way to think about health, is prevent yourself from going down that path.
A conflict comes with many vegans when they do have animals as pets.
Yeah.
And do we feed them animal products, since they tend to be designed by nature to be carnivores? What is the approach that you take on that?
Well, people make different decisions. Some cats can learn to eat a different diet. If you're going to choose a vegetarian diet for to feed your animal, you want to do it carefully and make sure you're getting all the animal's needs are met that way. Roxy's a vegetarian. Dogs do very well on a vegetarian diet. Again, if it's varied and the right nutrients are provided for their needs. But I think it's a matter of people making the personal choices of what's best for their animals. And it is hard, honestly, to go look in the dog food cans and you see the chicken, and and many of these foods have toxic, horrible, the unfit for human consumption. Not that any meat is fit for human consumption, but it's the worst parts of the diseased animals that are going into pet food. So you really want to be careful about that and take a closer look at. If you go to PETA.org and just go to the companion animal site of PETA.org, and there's all kinds of information where you can learn about what kinds of foods, you can make your own foods. There's a wealth of information about it.
So what does Roxy eat?
Well, there's a couple of brands that she likes, A Natural Balance and Pet Guard, both make vegan pet foods. And she likes to eat whatever I'm eating. She's a little plump, but it's diversity too. You don't want to just feed your dog the same thing every day. That's just boring, and they need a little fun in their life as well. So making sure they get a mix.
You have been involved with this in such a long time, first personally, then professionally. What do you really hope for the future?
I think the biggest shift in terms of awareness is in the food area. I think in terms of looking at how many people are going toward the vegetarian and vegan, understanding, having the knowledge. Clinton just did the interview with Sanjay Gupta and is now talking
on CNN.
Yeah, CNN, just being has seen, read the China studies, saw what that had to offer. So I think we're at a bit of a tipping point for really having more awareness about food and how animals are raised throughout this country. Animal welfare laws are changing to make it better. And really, in the scope of things, the welfare laws are sort of the first peeking in the door of what's wrong with animal factory farming. Right? So you look in and you say, well, I really don't want my chickens to be confined to tiny cages, and I really don't want the pigs to be kept in such. But beyond that, we take the next step and say, we really don't need to eat pigs or chickens. We don't need them on our plate at all. And in the right and perfect world. And I really think that with the internet now and our opportunity to show these videos of what happens to animals, we have such opportunity that we didn't have before, and that's just snowballing. Now it's amazing to me when you go out and people know the word vegan. In the average conversation, you'll hear someone talk about their cousin is vegan. And I went to a dinner here at the museum last night, and people were serving food and we're talking about being vegan, and they knew quickly how to change the menu to make something.
I let them know that there's a plant-based person coming, which also helps. A reference is a good one. And invariably, everyone else looks at it and say, oh, I wish I would have had that.
Happens
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah. When you go on the airline, when you order the vegan meal and they bring it to you, it's the best, it's a good-looking meal. Absolutely, when they go out with large groups of people. And I actually just go in and I'll just say I'll say to the waiter, have the chef do whatever he or she would like to do. Just no meat, no dairy, no eggs. Make it very clear what we don't want. But just pick what's fresh and what's good. And the chefs enjoy it. At a good restaurant, they like to be able to have a little bit of freedom and flexibility, and they pull out the best and most glorious things that are right there in front of them.
Yes, and I worry that some vegans are very shy about doing that.
And I think it's all about just how you communicate with. it's the positive way we bring forth our request, right?
Yeah.
And it's with joy and excitement. I have a friend who calls it, she's a joyful vegan. So that means it's really about,
I love that.
it's really about, and it's such an opportunity. I think living life as a vegan is so rewarding in that every time I make a choice, I'm aware that I'm making a good choice. I'm not just falling through life, stumbling along, buying my expensive leather shoes or getting the steak dinners. I'm being mindful that my choice is a good one, that I'm choosing not to cause harm. So there's a little party or a little reward every time you make a choice. It's actually, it's just a more fun place to be.
Thank you,
Thank
Jannette.
you, Linda.
And
Love your
thanks,
work.
Roxy. She's been so patient.
She always sits and waits for me.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Linda. Love your work.